Hello and welcome to the RSP Advanced Training, or Remote SIM Provisioning for Consumer Devices. My name is Olga Kietler. I'm a Senior Technical Consultant at Comprion. I have almost 15 years of experiences in the smart card area and now working almost 10 years in Comprion for the telecommunication. And especially in the standardization area, so I started from the very beginning to be involved in the definition of the standards for the consumer devices. Okay, I hope you will enjoy the training. Let's dive in. For our training, I assume that you already know the consumer devices architecture and the profile types, at least. Because today we will start with the RSP procedures, the mainly download, enable, disable, and delete procedures, but many other procedures as well. And in the second part, we will talk about the security aspects, the keys and certificates, and the algorithms used in the consumer devices world. Okay, let's start. For the procedures, the consumer devices procedures, they include local profile management. You remember, this is the end user's choice. So the end user can perform these procedures, start these procedures, initiate these procedures. And especially so the starting one, so there is the add profile procedure or the profile download. Then another procedure is the enabling of the profile, so choosing a profile to connect. Disable profile is the disconnecting existing profile if it is not forbidden by the policy. Delete profile procedure. This procedure deletes available profile if it's not forbidden by the policy. List profile. So this procedure allows the end user to see which profiles are already on the device. It shows the operational profiles if the device is not in the test mode. If the device is in the test mode, so the device will show only the test profiles. The set or edit nickname is the optional procedure allowing to change the operator's profile's nickname. Notifications. What is a notification? Notification is a report to a remote entity. So it's the recipient address has to be known for the notification. Yes, and this is a report that the profile management operation was successfully performed on the EUSSC. For example, the install or the enabling of the profile. There are two types of notifications defined in the RSP specifications. Profile installation result, so meaning the information about the status of the profile installation will be sent to the server which was trying to install this profile, so sending this profile to the device. But additionally, so other notifications can be defined together with the address of the server. Yes, so for example, as I said, so, install, enable, disable, delete can be additionally defined. There are local EUSSC management procedures. Local EUSSC management procedures are procedures, for example, to retrieve the EUSSC ID. So it will be visible on the LUI, on the local user interface of the LPID. So if you want to know what is the EUSSC ID, so you can use this procedure. And since this is related to the EUSSC, it's a local EUSSC management, not the profile management. EUSSC memory reset. Okay, just imagine, so you don't want to have any profiles or the profiles on the EUSSC any longer. And so this is the procedure which allows you to delete all the operational profiles and the associated metadata stored on the EUSSC, regardless of their status, and also regardless of the policy rules. For the local EUSSC management, additionally, it's possible also to delete the test profiles, not only the operational profiles, but if the device supports the test mode and there are some test profiles, so then the EUSSC test memory reset can be used. This test memory reset deletes only the field-loaded and not preloaded test profiles, together with the associated metadata and so on. the function of setting and editing of the default SMDP Plus address. So you will know that there are 3 ways to initiate the profile download, and it's always important to know there are different ways to get to. So it's important to know what is the SMDP Plus address to download the profile from this specific SMDP Plus. Yes, and there is a way to set a default SMDP Plus address. There's also a way to change this address. Please note, so this is different for the root SMDS address. This cannot be changed by this function, by the functions defined in the SGP specifications. Okay, device and EUICC initialization procedures. The EUICC initialization itself, you already know this probably from the ETSI specifications, from the 102.221. So this is the procedure defined there. So this is related to the EUICC and the device. And actually, the specific part here is that the EUICC shall indicate support of the EUICC functionality in the global interface byte in the ATR. There's a specific byte defined in 102.221 to indicate, hey, I support the EUICC functionality. RSP device capabilities. So this can also be indicated. So the idea is that EUICC shall request the device to send the terminal capability command by setting the related bit in the FCP of the master file. So there's a terminal capability command and there is an indication for this. Additionally, so a few words to the EUICC file structure. Actually, it's not required so that EUICC has a specific file structure, just a minimum, very small. Yes, so only few files have to be present for the start. Yes, and if there is no enabled profile on the EUICC, the EUICC shall ensure that this default file system, or at least the master file, is available to the device. Okay, so all of this, their classic file structure, will be present only after enabling of the profile. There is a procedure of the device power on and profile discovery. So it can be implemented as a part of the device setup, and this is specific to the device manufacturer. So the device manufacturer shall provide means for the end user to retrieve some pending profiles. Okay, so it's normally the end user decides which, so it's still the decision of the end user, but the end user normally just takes a look on the device and decides, okay, I would like to connect to this specific operator. But it can be the case, especially for this first device setup, when the end user is informed that there is a pending profile, and so it would be good to download the specific pending profile. So for this case, we have this power on profile discovery procedure. Procedures related to the SMDS, to the discovery service. There is the event registration procedure. This procedure goes from the operator, so the operator registers this event on the SMDP Plus, and then to the, so this goes eventually over the alternative SMDS to the root SMDS. So, and then on the way back, it can be retrieved from the root SMDS to the SMDP Plus, and it will be known, so okay, this is from the operator. Yes, the SMDS, so the event retrieval procedure starts from the SMDS, so and informs the LPAD, and then at the end the EUICC about this specific event. Event also is meant also to be the event of the profile download or the pending profile. This is the event actually. Okay, the event can be deleted, so between SMDP Plus and the SMDS, and we'll take a look on this in the next steps. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the start conditions. Yes, the end user has selected the operator to sign a contract with, so this is clear. This part is more informative, it's not mandatory like the other parts. So there are many ways to implement this starting part. The end user may initiate the profile download process from any other device, for example, from the PC, or from the customer agent of the operator, or any other convenient means provided by the operator. It depends on the operator. Then the download initiation procedure consists of the following sub-procedures. Contract subscription process, you see this is the informative part. The download preparation process, this has to be performed as defined. And the contract finalization process, which is again informative. Subscription activation process is optional. Let's take a look on the profile download initiation. This is a procedure between the operator and the end user, and some data will be exchanged, especially in the contract subscription. So this might be the billing information, so the USSC ID, EMI, or the device capabilities information. Then in the next step, so on the ES2 Plus interface, the download order command will be sent, especially with the ICC ID and the profile type. So the ID of the profile has to be known in this case, and in some cases the USSC ID can be sent as well. There is a requirement the USSC ID shall be present if the SMDS or the default SMDP Plus way of the profile download is used. In the next step, the SMDP Plus is reserving the specific ICC ID. So, and this information goes back to the operator. Operator may, in this case, generate a matching ID. So this is just an additional information for the storage. So, and this matching ID can be empty if the default SMDP Plus is used, or may be generated later by the SMDP Plus. In any case, the confirmation order, so the confirm order command, will be sent back to the SMDP Plus, now containing more information, like the USSC ID information, the ICC ID, the matching ID, and especially the SMDS address. But this is only in the case, so if the alternative, it can be alternative SMDS address or the root SMDS address, and then the event registration would be required. It is not present if the default SMDP Plus is to be used. For the confirmation code, we will take a look, just remember this part. So there is a specific confirmation code, so this might be used by the operator for the profile download. And latest in this point, so the SMDP Plus will generate the matching ID and then send back the SMDP Plus address, which will be used for the activation code and the activation code generation. And if it's not sent it, so then the default value will be used. And finally, there is this contract finalization part with this activation code going to the end user. So the end user needs to know, so where is the SMDP Plus, so using my profile. And this is a part of the activation code. So in the next step, prior to any profile download, the operator or the SMDP Plus verifies if the selected profile type is compatible with the targeted device by a static or dynamic check. Okay, let's take a look. So there is this static check and the dynamic check. And actually during this download initiation procedure, the operator domain, so on the operator domain there is a question, so this is a process verifying about the EMI and the EID if they are known. So then it goes to the static check, and it checks if this profile type is compatible with the ICC ID. And if they are not known, so then the default profile type and the ICC ID will be used. And then in the SMDP Plus domain, so during the download order, the matching ID will be binded to the specific ICC ID. So in both cases, actually, either together with the USSC ID or without it. And in the download installation procedure, there will be again this verification, so either static or dynamic. So if this profile will be acquired, so then the EUSSC ID will be bound, it will be checked if it's bound with a matching ID, and so will be checked if this static verification is required of the eligibility check, especially so it might be using the tech information of the device and yes, matching ID, EUSSC ID. And if it's okay, so then yes, so it goes to the static check, and the profile type ICC ID will be checked dynamically, and then it will go to the next step. As already mentioned, the profile download can be started in the 3 different ways. So first of all, the activation code. The end user receives the activation code from the operator. And to enter the provided activation code, so it can be typed manually inside, which is probably not quite often used. But so what is quite often used is the QR code. So you just need to scan the QR code, and this way, so you will have this activation code inside of it. At least this part shall be supported. Alternative way is to use the default SMDP Plus address. So you remember this function of setting and changing of the default SMDP Plus address. This can be used for this purpose. And in this way, the LPA retrieves the default SMDP Plus address from the EUSSC. The SMDS way, so the LPAD retrieves the SMDP Plus address together with the event ID from the SMDS. So the SMDS will know the SMDP Plus address in this case. And as already mentioned, so the confirmation code can be used. This is a specific code entered by the end user and required by the SMDP Plus depending on the settings of the operator. What is the content of the activation code? Let's take a look. Okay, first of all, so yes, the format. So actually it shall be set to 1 for the specific format, so which is used in the current versions of the specification versions, 2. something. Yes, and then the FQDN address, so this is the address of the SMDP Plus, as already mentioned, shall be used to identify the SMDP Plus. There can be also this activation code token, so this is the matching ID, or yes, depends on the case, so it might be 0 length and empty. Then there is the OID of the SMDP Plus, which is used in the specific certificate of the SMDP Plus in the SAT-DP out ECDSA. So the certificate used for the authentication, it contains this OID. And yes, optionally, so the confirmation code. So this is the flag, so it's not the code, so this is the flag identifying, so if this confirmation code is required or not. Okay, what else? So the length should be 255 characters maximum. And so this data will be separated by the delimiter. Yes, as already mentioned, so the matching ID might be empty. So it can be the case if the default SMDP Plus will be used or the event ID will be used. So which is the case when you download it using the SMDS. If the confirmation code required flag is set in the activation code token, then the LPAD shall prompt the end user to enter the code provided by the operator. You remember the activation, where the activation code comes from? Take a look on the download initiation. At the last step, so you will have this activation code. Let's take a look on the parameter summary for download initiation. So what do we have? So specifically what is defined as the download order. In the download order function, so we might have this EUSSC ID, ICC ID and the profile type. And depending on the profile download use case, so this can be either optional or the conditional. So if the ICC ID, for example, is not present in the download order, so then it can be the case that the profile type is required. Okay, in the confirmation order, so we have mandatory the ID of the profile in any case, and then there's this kind of changing game. So where you have a specific case, and so sometimes you might require the SMDS address, and sometimes the confirmation code, the matching ID. It depends on the use case. Specifically, so there are some requirements. So yes, for example, so then the EOSSC ID is required if it's not present in the download order. At latest on this step, it's required. Yes. And then the matching ID will be with empty value is if this MDP plus default SMDP plus address is used, and optional in the other cases. And if it's not present in the activation code, the SMDP plus will generate the matching ID for the activation code token, or if the SMDP plus will generate the matching ID, and it is used as event ID. Let's take a look on the profile life cycle at the SMDP plus. The profile status can be either available. This is the case when the profile is available in the SMDP plus. Then it can be the case that it's allocated. The profile is reserved for downloading without being linked to an EOSSC ID. Another case is when the profile is already linked. It means the profile is reserved for downloading is linked to a specific EOSSC ID. So they are together. Confirmed. The profile is reserved for downloading with a matching ID and a potentially confirmation code. The profile state released is used when the profile is ready for download and installation after network configuration by the operator. For example, HLR registration. The profile is downloaded when it is downloaded or delivered to the LPA. Installed is when the profile was successfully installed on the EOSC. You remember there is this notification procedure, so the SMDP plus will note. Yes, and the error state is when the profile has not been installed because of one of the following error cases, like confirmation code, retry limit exceeded. So there is a specific retry limit for this confirmation code. So if you enter it wrongly, so then there's the specific limit. So it can be the case it exceeds. There is a download retry anyway. So this limit can exceed as well. And maybe by the end user rejection or any other error during the download or installation. The profile can be unavailable if the profile cannot be reused anymore by the SMDP plus. Okay, you remember how to start the profile download with the activation code, default SMDP plus or the SMDS. And yes, you remember that there is a specific count of a number of download attempts and the attempts of the entering the confirmation code. Yes, and there is a requirement that SMDP plus shall limit the number of download attempts and of confirmation code entries respectively. Okay, let's take a look on the add profile procedure. We have the operator involved, for sure, the SMDP plus. So the profile can be downloaded in the consumer devices using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever technology. So it's normally not the network, but it still can be used. Then the device with the EOSSC involved and the end user. And we assume that before the profile download initiation procedure has already started. And yes, so the SMDP plus address was already received even by activation code and yes, using the default SMDP plus address or from the SMDS. In the next step, the device performs, or the EOSC performs the initialization step on the ES9 plus interface, so which is secured by the HTTPS. And inside of this HTTPS channel. So on the ES9 Plus interface, there will be the SCP-11A key establishment performed, again defined by global platform, and so the procedure is called, or the procedure part is called, the common mutual authentication. Yes, this is the client and server authentication using certificates verification. If it was successful, so that at the end, so their profile policy rules will be verified, and if everything is fine, so the profile download can be started. From the security perspective, we have the HTTPS, and finally, at the end, so after the key establishment, the SCP-03T protocol will be used, and the profile will be secured with the SCP-03T. The functions which are used for the profile download, so there are quite a lot. So especially there is this, at the beginning, the get EUSSC information from the device to the EUSSC. Then there is a request for the EUSSC challenge, so for the cryptographic parts to add some randomness and security. Yes, next step, the HTTPS establishment procedure, which is not a command itself, but there is this HTTPS establishment. Then as a command function, so the initiate authentication on the ES9 Plus. So you remember, so we start with initiation. You remember we start with an authentication procedure, and then there is the authentication of the server first towards the EUSSC. Next step, the authenticate client procedure. So the EUSSC has to authentify itself to the server, handle download progress on the step ES2 Plus interface, going to the operator information. The profile metadata has to be verified as well, or maybe verified on the device. And then there is a next step, so they get this information about the policy rules, they get RUT information. Next step, the profile's information can be received from the EUSSC, and the prepared download can be started. Then the bound profile package, or secured profile package actually, will be requested or received. And the operator will be informed about the download progress. Finally, the actual download can be started. There are several parts of the profile which will be delivered with the load bound profile package command. Okay, these are the add profile functions, especially the handle notification at the end, so with the profile installation result, and the handle download progress info to the operator. All of the notifications have to be removed at the end, and that's all. Let's go to the profile power on discovery. Okay, when it is appropriate for the class and usage of the device, the LPA can perform a profile discovery when the device is powered on, rebooted, or after a reset. So it can be the case that the operator uses this functionality, and so has the case so that when the end user starts the device for the first time, so it's prompted, okay, please, there is a profile to be downloaded. So this is one of the use cases. An end-user configurable parameter to enable or disable this operation may be supported by the LPA. Can be also depends on the device implementation. And there are some procedures to get an operation profile installed on the EUSSC if there is no profile on it. So if there is a configured default SMBP Plus address, then it has to initiate the profile download installation procedure using the default SMBP Plus address and an empty string for the matching ID. If no operational profile was downloaded in step 1, there is a configured SMTS address. Initiation will be done using the event retrieval procedure with no event ID and process any retrieved profile downloads. And if nothing of these two test cases was used, then the LPA may prompt an end user to add a profile using an activation code. In any case, the LPA shall verify the user intent also for the authenticated confirmation. So authenticated confirmation means not simple yes or no. So this is a confirmation which requires some security, some personal data, the PIN or maybe fingerprint, depends on the implementation. Okay. As already mentioned, there are some event registrations required with this SMDS case, and then the simplified form, so we can take a look on this from the operator and the SMDP plus involved and the SMDS involved to the device and the USSC. There is a confirm order with the root SMDS address going to the SMDP plus. Then there is this register event command, so going from the SMDP plus to the SMDS with the event ID, the EID, and the SMDP plus address. So you see this registration may be cascaded, so not directly going to the root SMDS, but first going to the alternative SMDS and then towards the root SMDS. The SMDS on itself will store the event record for this and send a confirmation back to the SMDP plus and then to the operator. The device will pull the root SMDS according to the cases that we just described. And then finally at the end receive the SMDP plus address. And there will be an action for this EUSSC ID and the specific event ID going to the SMDP plus. Okay, this is the event registration together with the device already. So when we talk about the event registration retrieval part, so let's take a deeper look. So how it goes, what's happening next. First of all, there's this confirm order with the root SMDS address. Then on the ES12 interface, the interface between the SMDP plus and the SMDS, we have this register event command with the event ID, EID, server address, and indicator if the alternative in SMDS has to be used. Storing of the event record. And then there's a common mutual authentication part between the SMDS and the end user, the device actually. So, and the check for the pending event records on the SMDS. And then there's this set of server address and the event ID will be returned to the device. So this is in the complicated way. Let's take a look on the more simple procedures of the enabling, disabling, delete profile. We have the SMDP plus, EUSSC, and the device, in this case, separated, and then the end user and the network. What is going on there? For the enabling, disabling, so some user intent might be verified, or just simple confirmation may be required. Depends on the implementation. So then the profile will be selected from the list. So for example, if you have a smartwatch, you just select this specific profile. And then depending on the command, so the device sends this, or the end user selects this, but the device sends this to the EUSSC, this enable, disable, or delete profile command. The EUSSC has to verify it, especially for the state of the profile and profile policy rules, and send refresh if the refresh flag was set. So there is normally, it requires a refresh, but it can be also this kind of silent refresh, or yes, so it's not needed to be sent in this case to the device. But this at least it needs some confirmation, some OK. And the network attach can be performed from the device side. Yes, either a network attach or detach. And so you remember no fallback profile. So if you know the architecture of the M2M, so there is no fallback or another profile in case of connectivity issues. If it's not working, then it's not working. So there is no fallback. If required, so there will be some notifications sent to the SMDP plus. This is the procedure for enable, disable, and delete the profile. Actually, very similar. Let's take a look on the what is new. So you know that is already a newer version upcoming of the remote profile management, the version 3 of the SGP specifications for the consumer devices. There are some procedures which are already included, so there will be some other procedures. It's just a simple outlook, what is potentially to be there. First of all, the SMDP Plus generates the so-called RPM, Remote Profile Management package. This package is composed of one or more RPM commands, meaning so it's now possible to remotely to enable, disable, or update metadata upon the request of the operator. So for the procedures part, so this starts with the common mutual authentication part using polling address, SMDP Plus and SMDS, command code or previous session to download this RPM package. And then in the next step there will be the RPM package execution, transfer data to card with a load RPM package procedure for the enable, disable, delete. Okay, this is simplified, so what is inside. So some of the new features. There is a procedure description already in the newer version, but they are for the moment not yet published. In the next step, so let's do a summary, or you can verify your knowledge. So it's not a summary of all of the topics, but this is just to check if you paid attention so for some parts of the presentation. Okay, first of all, so the question is which procedures do not belong to the local profile management. So you remember there are different types of the procedures: local profile management, local EUSCC management, for example. So do you remember some of the procedures which are not the local profile management? Classic one with enable, disable, download, and so on. Okay, what are the 3 ways to initiate the profile download? So it's not if you are just the end user, so it's not just simple scanning the QR code and that's all. From the technical perspective, there are actually 3 ways to perform this profile download. Do you remember this? If not, please go back and take a look again on this presentation. Yes, in our live trainings, we do some Kahoot games playing and we have a puzzle. But you can just put the download steps, profile download steps, together in the right order. So what is first, what is required, and what is next. Which profile types are deleted via memory reset? You remember there was this regular profile memory reset, and for some profile types, they will be not deleted by this profile types, by this memory reset. And at which step the device receives the profile metadata? Okay, I hope you have some answers for this, because we'll take a short break. So I recommend you to have a short break now, and then we will continue with the security aspects of the consumer devices. See you later. Bye.